That are watching us on this, you notice that I've got two young men here, not James Rivera, my sidekick partner, but I got two talented young men here in the studio today. I'd like to welcome everybody to Matt and Logan Stairs. Gentlemen, it is good to have you in the studio. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you so much, Josh.
Matt and Logan are they're Wyoming. They're Casper natives. They're Kelly Walsh boys, and I won't hold that against you. I'm an NC grad, so
okay.
We can't hold that against you. But I think I'm going to have some children that are going to go to Kelly Walsh. So, and I got a brother that's a teacher there. So, it's a small town. You can't draw lines. I don't think.
No, definitely not.
Matt, now you spent some time in New York City. I know that Logan, you've been basically based out of Casper. You guys have had a pretty amazing journey, and the reason why you're on the show is because we're one of the things that I absolutely love is watching people, because I'm the same way. Entrepreneurs go and chase a dream, go find a greater purpose. Realize that a job is an acronym for just over broke, and we are willing to just put it all on the line. And it's not about the money. It's not about that success of the financial reward, even though that's great and we all want to be successfully financially. But it's about chasing something bigger, right? And you guys are doing that, and you've just started a company. It's called Evolutionary Habits Accountability Services. And I really want to just dive into this. And today's going to be about exploring, well, why'd you start it? What's the passion behind it? What's the purpose behind it? And how does this help you guys fulfill that purpose and that desire in your heart? So with all that intro right there, maybe Matt, you could tell us, you left and you went to New York, right? I wouldn't want to be there now, by the way, so good job not being in New York right now. But tell us about that journey back to Casper and when you and your brother were just sitting there going, man, I think we should do this.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was in New York for about 2.5 years. I moved there in September of 2017, and I have pretty much experienced everything that I could have experienced. I like to say anything that was at least legal, ethical, and moral.
Okay, yeah, good job.
And coming back, it was planned and yet a surprise at the same time. Obviously, things are a little bit different right now, and obviously New York is in the throes. Yeah. So I came back March 17th, right when New York decided to shut down. Okay. And that was good timing, and I can't credit myself for that. That was kind of my folks too. Mm-hmm. But when I came back, obviously I didn't have work anymore. I had decided before that to start going into the food industry. Really bad timing. Mm-hmm. But coming back here, I was sitting around, just kind of trying to figure out what to do next, and then Logan got laid off from the YMCA temporarily because obviously they couldn't be open. Right. And we're very fortunate to have some people in our lives. I have some very good friends in New York City who are massive entrepreneurs and some of the most prolific thinkers I have ever come across. And listening to one of them, they talked about the idea that, necessity breeds creativity. Yeah. This is where, entrepreneurs really come to rise. And this is when people get creative, is when things are not in a good spot. And so thinking about that, also thinking about the fact that entrepreneurs, basically you find gaps that are happening and you find a solution to that gap. Mm-hmm. And so when we were sitting around trying to figure out, because we were like, we're not just going to sit around during this time and do nothing. We're going to do things to forward ourselves. And then we thought, well, wait, why don't we try to expand this to other people as well? Mm-hmm. And so that's when we came up with the idea of helping people with, at first it was just fitness, because right now, obviously the gyms were not open. There were a lot of things that were up in the air that way. Yeah. And so we thought, well, what better way to add value to people than to be their accountability partner while they're working out, to make sure that they're achieving those things. And I kind of got that idea from Volcanic Momentum. It's a great book, talking about the small achievable goals that we do every single day that lead to those big achievable goals and lead to the lifetime goals. It's just a matter of small to bigger to biggest. Mm-hmm. So that's where we came up with the idea, and now we're expanding it into just full on, flat out accountability for whatever it is people are looking to do to improve their lives. Yeah.
Awesome. Now, Logan, your brother comes back home, which is a different dynamic. And I have a handful of brothers myself. So, I have one in Chicago. We were just great friends. I've got brothers here locally, and it's awesome to be able to have a brother that's just a couple blocks away. What was it like when that dynamic came back? Your brother is now a part of your life even more personally and intimately, and then you guys now start to go, hey, listen, we should do something together, because that's a big step.
Well, honestly, it's actually been really, really good to have him home, because while he was in New York, he picked up a lot of really good, success habits. Okay. Basically, he would read every single day from some sort of personal development book, and then he would listen to a success podcast every single day. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't really doing that. Like he had suggested it to me before, but I never actually really got into it. And then when he got home, he actually started kind of holding me accountable to it. And I just started noticing that my life was actually starting to change because of it. So I've started just doing that a lot more. And with him doing it every single day still, he's really still just holding me accountable to it and doing a really good job of it too. But as far as the project goes, it really, I'm more of a thinker than anything else. He's actually the one that came up with he was like, hey, we should really do this. And I was like, I fully agree, definitely. And that's part of the reason why we stuck with the fitness aspect of it at first, because I'm working on my personal trainer certification. I work at a gym, all these different things. So it just made sense at the time. Mm-hmm. And then we just started thinking about it there are other places in people's lives that they want to be held accountable, that they want to achieve what they want to achieve, right? Yeah. And to just be able to do that would be incredible. And that's kind of the mindset behind that. Yeah.
You guys alluded a little bit, Matt, you talked a little bit about people that maybe inspired you, whether it's friends that you had in New York City, whether it was an author that you really loved their messaging. Anytime you start a business, anytime as an entrepreneur you move forward in a really an unknown, uncharted territory, you've got to have people that inspire you. Who are the people that inspire you? Who are the inspirational people that you continue to either follow or talk to, so that you can continue to go along this journey, which is never easy, by the way? Mm.
Yeah, that's a really good question. Honestly, there are a lot of people in my life. I feel very, very blessed that I have so many people that are growth oriented, that are a part of my life. But there are two people specifically that come to mind immediately. Actually, I'd say three, because one of them's a couple. Okay. But there are, so I'm friends with a couple in New York that live in Long Island, and they live by these principles every day. And specifically Sia, that's a friend of mine. She is one of my biggest inspirations, because she literally came from Virginia, came to New York in a car with nothing in line, like no plan in place. And she went from that to someone who has achieved so many things. Like, she has charities around the world. She's done all these incredible things. And one of the things she attributes it to is the fact that she has that problem-solving personality, that can-do attitude, and the ability to run headlong into problems and challenges. And that's when you see the most growth. Yeah. So I'd say that she's one of the biggest inspirations to me, and I talk with her all the time. Yeah. The other person I would say, her name is Luz Echeverria, and she's also in New York, and I've become very good friends with her, and she's just she's pretty much the same, just a slightly different story. She's very involved in real estate. Okay. But I've noticed that there's a pattern with these people, that there is success mindset. There's a pattern to that. Yeah. And it doesn't matter what field you go into, you have to have that if you're going to be successful in that area. So I definitely attribute it to both of them.
Yeah, excellent. Logan, how about you, bud?
Well, originally I first started delving into the kind of a personal development or entrepreneurial mindset side by watching little clips of some Tony Robbins speeches online, and I would listen to them in the shower, and just throughout the day I would just pop them in and listen to them. Mm-hmm. And that's what really started my journey. And then I started getting into John C. Maxwell and Sam Silverstein, of course. A lot of my
Mentors?
Yeah, my mentors are musicians, actually.
Oh.
And one of them, it's kind of a well-known name, but not really, is James Hetfield of Metallica. He's the rhythm guitarist and the lead singer, but he really conveys the idea that I love what he says about the mindset behind why they do what they do, because they talk about constantly the reason that they do what they do is to reach a different demographic. Another person that's been actually really influential in my life is this guy right here. He is like I said earlier, he's just a huge influence when it comes to personal development stuff, and especially with the people that he works with. I've actually known them kind of vicariously through him now, and I'm starting to talk to them more as well, and just picking up more and more of that mindset. Yeah. And it's incredible. Yeah. It's awesome.
Success breeds success, you guys, and that's awesome. I think you guys are starting to experience that. As you go through any kind of a challenge, as you go through any kind of a change in your life, it starts to reveal things about you that maybe you didn't know either you had, or maybe things that you just didn't even know that you needed to know. As you guys have begun this journey, what has it revealed about you guys? What has it revealed about you individually?
That's a loaded question. I'll answer it in two different ways. The first one technically is that we know basically nothing about social media and advertising and things like that. But for ourselves specifically, I think the biggest thing that at least I've learned so far is that it really takes a few different things for any business to start rolling, and it takes time and it takes effort. Going back, I'm reading right now John C. Maxwell's book, Everyone Communicates, Few Connect, and there's 3 things that people think every time that you talk with them or anytime they use your business or whatever it is, which is, do you care for me? Can I trust you? And can you help me? And those are things that when we're talking with people, when we're doing anything like that, I have those rolling in the back of my head of like, how is this coming across to this person? Do they know that they can trust me? Do they know that I care about them? And so I think that's the biggest change that has happened, honestly, is making sure that you're operating from the right center, because even if people don't say so, I think they can tell.
Yeah, that's awesome, buddy. What about you, Logan? What do you think, man?
I've noticed that I'm more of a like we talked about earlier. I'm more of a thinker. Like I really like to break things down and just take them apart, figure out how they tick basically, and figure out how to make it better. So one thing I actually really realized with this is that it's static. It will never stay the same, because with time things change, right? Over time things progress, and it's opened my eyes to, if we don't change it at all, like if it just stays the same as it has when it starts, then it's not going to take off.
Right.
Because it might for maybe the first couple months or so, but if everything stays the exact same, then it can become obsolete compared to other things. It's the name of the game, and I've just had to realize that nothing is absolute in that sense, anyways.
Yeah, you got to track, measure, and adjust, gentlemen. Track, measure, and adjust as you go on anything in life, right? So, one of the things that we spoke about just real briefly before we started the podcast was, I think one of the things that always reveals as you're going along any type of a journey, especially when you're just challenged and you're pushing yourself, is some of this belief of the limits that we have in our life. And that self-talk, and how important that self-talk is. And I know this is one of the areas that you guys are, I'm sure, are assisting people in, and that's one of the areas that you feel like people can grow in. But personally, as an entrepreneur, as getting into this, I did not know this until you guys literally walked into the room and we had this conversation. But, we all have our limits, whether it's a physical limit, whether it's a belief limit. You guys have some visual impairment that you guys are dealing with in that kind of a limitation. And I'm just curious to know, what limits have you guys seen that either you've been able to break through, or what are the things that you guys are seeing that are limits that you need to break through?
You want to go first?
I can, yeah. So I'd say the biggest thing for me anyways was, I was constantly told, so I was diagnosed, I'm going to back up a little bit. I was diagnosed at, I think it was about 13, with Stargardt's disease, which is it's a rare form of juvenile macular degeneration. And I was told from that moment on that I would never, ever be able to drive, ever. And this was being told to me by my vision specialist, my parents, my doctors, everything. Just every single person was just like, no, it's not going to happen. And through, I never listened to that. I hate having those kinds of negative input in my life. And I honestly feel that if it's negative like that, it makes you believe it, so it becomes true. And so I didn't believe it. I actually really focused on it for the next couple of years. I got my learner's permit. And this was done because I didn't believe it. So I went to the doctor and they were just like, hey, so it looks like you're actually really nearsighted too. So contacts actually helped me see better a lot. When I first got it, it was my visual acuity without corrective lenses is 2400 and with is 2100. And that was good enough to drive. So I got my driver's license, and that was probably the biggest thing for me anyways, was overcoming that and just overcoming all that negative input. Because throughout that entire journey, people were just telling me, just stop. It's a pointless journey. You're just going to get to the end and you're not going to be happy with the result. And actually over the past couple years, my vision regressed slightly. So I actually had to forfeit my license. So I'm having to kind of learn different forms of transportation and things like that, like public transportation. I bought a bike 2 years ago or something like that. And I mean, it's being able to adapt and overcome.
Yeah, that is an awesome story, dude. You gotta be sharing that more, dude. That's really powerful.
Thank you.
Matt, what about you, brother?
Oh man. So Logan and I both have the same exact visual impairment. I was diagnosed when I was 12 years old, and it was, it definitely changed some things. But kind of a similar story to Logan. When I was in high school, I had decided that I was going to pursue a career as an actor, not just an actor, a musical theater actor, who could sing, dance, act, all of it. And I was told by multiple people that I should not do that. That's not good. It's not going to be a good career. It's going to be tough. You're going to be a starving artist, like all of this stuff. And that's besides having a visual impairment, right? That's what every actor has to go through.
Yeah.
And so, I got a lot of that, and it kind of taught me that, because of the fact that I just had to look inside myself and say, no, this is what I want to do. This is where I'm going to go right now. And so I went to college for it. I got my bachelor's. I was a musical theater actor full-time for 2 years, traveling the country. And I did things that people would assume a blind person could never, ever do. Yeah. And then I moved to New York, and, perspectives may change, but that mentality doesn't. Yeah. I decided that being an actor alone was not going to give me the lifestyle I wanted. So I started diversifying, looking into other things. And that's really what kind of gave that entrepreneurial mindset for us to even start looking at doing things like this, is that, we've been forced to think outside of the box, Logan and I both, for a very long time. So honestly, for me anyway, I see it as a blessing more than a curse, because it's opened our eyes, and that sounds kind of dumb, but it's opened our eyes in a way.
You got to use that, dude. Totally use it, man. Love it. You got to play on words, brother. It's
Seriously.
awesome.
You shared the blind jokes around the house.
Oh my goodness, it's crazy. But yeah, it opened our eyes to this mindset that most people never experience in their entire life.
Right.
And so and I know Logan is too, we're very, very grateful for that purpose and for that point.
One of the concepts that I've heard recently, and I took ownership of this a couple of years ago, was this whole thing about life is not happening to you, life is happening for you, and just having that change of that wording, right? Life is happening for you. All of the challenges, all of the previous limitations, all of the things that didn't turn out the way that they were supposed to, according to what your plan was, have actually helped you become the person you are today, and is going to set you up for that next chapter in your life. So I love how you guys are saying that. I love how you guys are taking ownership of that, because there's so many people that fall victim to their circumstances. And for Matt, especially, these other people that are successful, they never allow the past to dictate their future, right? Their past is not defining their future. And I will tell you from a personal experience, I allowed that to happen for many years in my life. And it wasn't until I took ownership of that and said, no, this is all happened for me, and I'm going to break those limitations in my life. I'm curious, just kind of to follow up on that. Do you believe right now that you guys are out here doing this to prove people wrong or to prove people right?
Man. When you say proving people wrong or proving people right, do you mean basically like kind of like almost like a glass half full, half empty kind of a thing going on? Or
well, so I'll tell you this. So when I was growing up, I had the opportunity to chase my dream, which was baseball. And when I got drafted, I had so much support. Coming from a small town, there were so many people that were supporting me. So on my journey, what I was doing was I was out there to prove people right? They were all believed in me. They all felt like I was going to be the next Mike Lansing, the next Mike Devereaux. I was going to be on that journey, become a Major League Baseball player. When the journey was done and I saw how people reacted, and the story that I was telling myself was that people were like, well, he's a has-been. He gave it a shot. Now he's done. He's probably not going to amount to anything else. Maybe go and just, he'll go and get an average job now. And so what I started to do is say, no, I'm going to prove people wrong now. Like, I'm going to prove people wrong. I can still have greatness in my life. I can still make something of myself, right? And so for many, many years, my mindset changed to prove people wrong. And now I'm on the mindset of, you know what? I'm doing this for myself, and I'm going to prove myself right. Like I'm doing this because I believe in myself. And I have my wife and family and close people, my sphere of people. But I'm doing this because I believe in myself, and I'm going to prove myself right. So I had to, I went back and forth. So that's what I'm asking you guys. Like right now, when you're going into this chapter of your life, where do you believe your motivation is coming from?
I know for me, actually, it's very funny because I have a relatively similar story to you. Like when
we're playing baseball?
No. You would not want me playing baseball.
It'd be hysterical.
It really would be. I tried softball. That did not go well. But when I did finally make it into theater, and this is something I've noticed, is that when you start something new, people first say, you can't do it. Yeah. There's no way that you can do it. Blah, 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 blah. And then you start really, they see you still going at it, and they say, oh, you're still doing that. Oh, that's interesting. And after a while of you doing it and starting to see success, then suddenly they're like, oh, we knew that you would make it. We knew that you would do it.
Yes.
And so I experienced that with theater. And then when I decided to go down the entrepreneurial road, down the road of creating a different lifestyle than people had ever really heard of in my inner circle, that cycle started all over again.
Yeah.
And so it definitely turned into, at first it was, I'm going to prove you wrong. Mm-hmm. But now, I mean, this might sound a little insensitive, but I don't really care what people think at this point, because I have learned that it's you against you. Yeah. Like if you let other people's opinions guide where you're going to go, you're never going to control of your life.
Right.
Like, and who wants that? Like who wants someone else determining that for you? That's just
exactly
terrifying.
Right. Yeah. Don't put their limits on your life.
Exactly.
And that's what happens. Logan, what about you, brother?
I'd say just about the same actually. It's coming from I've always just like hated when I'm told I cannot do something. Uh-huh. I hate the word can't or won't or anything like that. It feels like they're putting like what you two were talking about, where they're just putting a limitation on your life when they actually really don't know what you're capable of. Mm-hmm. And that's just what drives me crazy about that. So I'd say right now it's more of a I'm going to prove you wrong kind of a thing, because a lot of people are just like, well, I mean, a lot of people are doing like online startups right now and things like that. Like it's just, there's a lot of people doing this industry. Like I saw a post on Facebook the other day that was it was more along the fitness group line, but they were just like, man, I just hate getting all these texts from all these messages from people inviting me to fitness groups. Like, why do you do that? Like, I don't understand. And apparently it was a pretty popular thing at the time. But going back to the actual question, I'd say definitely from right now anyways, a proving wrong kind of a state.
Yeah. Well, gentlemen, I have really enjoyed getting to know you guys more. I know our audience has really appreciated you guys being vulnerable and showing some of those things. I mean, that's the thing that I think most people want to know is that we're all human beings and that we're all striving to do something better and striving to do something greater. You guys, with your company, Evolutionary Habits Accountability Services, that's exactly what you're trying to do, is help people get to that next level of success, whatever that level is for them, whatever that success means to them, right? Whether it's in their health and vitality, or maybe it's just the mental part of it, so that they can start to break those limits in your life. So I wish you nothing but the best, you guys. Entrepreneurship is a hard road, but it is a worth it road that I will do everything we can to support you as well. What's the best way people can get a hold of you if they say, you know what, man, I loved your message. I think it's something I want to talk to you guys more about and see what your services can do for my life. How could they get a hold of you guys?
Oh, that's a great question. So we have, so if they would like to email us, we have evolutionaryhabits@gmail.com.
Okay.
We're also on Facebook. We have a page, and we respond to those messages all the time. And we're starting to be on Instagram. That's a beginning journey on there.
Email, Facebook, you got plenty of ways to get a hold of them. All right, man. And anything else that you guys want? Anything that you guys want to say to the audience or people that are listening to this?
The one thing I would leave you guys with, if you get nothing else from this, is that you are in charge every single day, and every single day is a new day. And those little things that you were doing every single day towards the things that you're working towards will compound and will add up to the result that you were looking for.